Jaden, are you there? You gotta mute yourself.
Yeah, hello. How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing? What is your religious belief?
I'm an Orthodox Jew.
Oh, okay. Welcome. So why are you not a Christian?
Very simply, according to our tradition, which we can establish was given at Sinai, God cannot be seen in any form. Jesus is seen, therefore he cannot be God.
Not seen in any form, you say. Then how did Moses see the back of God?
So that's not what it says. It says acharei or acharai, which can be referring to a back, but could also be referring to what is behind me. Now, because none of you guys possess the tradition, nor the divine exegesis to decipher how acharei is used in that verse, you have no way to render it as either back or as what is behind me.
So then how do you explain Exodus 33, where Moses asks to see God's glory?
Yeah, I was about to say.
And God tells him, you cannot see my face and live. But then God places Moses in the cleft of the rock, passes by, and Moses sees God's back. As IP just, I mean, you can say, oh, well, you don't have it. That's fine. But do you have something different? Like, I don't understand when you say we don't have it.
I mean that you don't carry the tradition.
What tradition?
What? So the tradition from Sinai.
Which is what? What tradition is it that you are insinuating we don't have?
Right. So this would comprise, for example, of the Mishnah, and the tradition that Jews have carried in regards to what Scripture means. Now, I can formulate the argument for you on why we can demonstrate and show that this tradition is in fact given at Sinai.
Okay, so demonstrate through this tradition from Sinai that you claim we don't have, that Exodus 33 is insinuating something completely different than what it actually says here in front of our face.
Okay.
Can you do that?
That's what you're saying. Yeah, so I'm going to show you how the tradition that God cannot be seen in any form is directly given at Sinai. Is that good?
Okay, yeah, it's fine.
Tens of thousands of sages attest today to receive from tens of thousands of sages before them the oral Torah on what and how God can be seen, etc. And also receiving from these tens of thousands of sages before them the tradition that in every generation they would observe and count tens of thousands of sages all the way back until Sinai. For this to be false, it entails two possible options. Either A, an entire generation of tens of thousands of sages collectively came to fabricate the tradition, or B, an entire generation of tens of thousands of sages fell into error in the transmission of this tradition. Both of these are irrational and improbable, so we reject them.
So the obvious response is that we just reject the premise. We don't believe there's evidence of 10,000s of sages in every generation preserving this stuff. There's no training. Even Jewish scholars would admit there was a change in tradition that happened over time, specifically on the idea that God was multi-personal in the earlier Jewish texts to more of a Unitarian position. And there were books on this. Like,
address both things you said. Yeah. So first of all,
hold on, Jaden. Before you go on, brother, I wanna make it clear also, and I want to make it clear to everybody in IP's audience that I asked you to show me from Exodus 33 that Moses didn't see, right, what the text says he saw. Instead, you gave me an argument for the authority of the oral Torah. Those are not the same discussion. What you did was you burden shifted. Okay.
So I already
hold on, brother. Hold on. Secondly, the argument that you did give is completely circular because you said that the oral Torah is true because the tradition says it came from Sinai, right?
Argument. Well, if it's circular, which one of my premises assumes the conclusion? Let's start there.
Brother, you were the one who stated that this is based on the oral Torah. Did you not?
Which one of the premises assumes the conclusion?
Jaden, can you answer the question?
I'm waiting. Which premise assumes?
No. I asked you the question because what I asked you to do here. Let me start over again because you're clearly operating from a script, and you have Jaden. You have no idea where to go. Right. This is why you're not answering my question. So I'm going to ask you again, and I'm going to be charitable to you.
Sure.
Show me, okay, that in Exodus 33, Moses did not see what the text says he saw, so without appealing to 10,000 sages that you cannot substantiate anyway. Please go.
Okay, so again, do you want me to address the argument I presented that you claimed was begging the question and yet provided no evidence for that? Or do you want me to now go and show you, as I already did, that acharei can function as what is behind me? Now, as I already stated, because you have no tradition in deciphering what the word means in that verse, there's no reason to accept what you are saying. So the argument that I'm formulating is based upon this tradition that we have from Sinai. Now, when I formulated it, you claimed I was begging the question. Which one of the premises I laid out for you assumes the conclusion?
All right, so thanks again for dodging the question, because that's exactly what you did. You didn't actually answer the question.
Mike and Maverick lie about my argument begging the question because they can't show which one of the premises assumes the conclusion.
Brother, no. you said that I don't. Hold on, Jaden? Did you or did you not say? Okay, and IP, correct me if I'm wrong, that we don't have the tradition needed to interpret Exodus 33. Is that not what you said? Okay, that is the very point that we are debating. You don't get to assume the divine authority of the oral Torah before you have demonstrated it. That is circular.
Right. So the argument I laid out for you wasn't assuming the oral Torah is true. It was providing for you the evidence that we can show and demonstrate the oral Torah was given at Sinai and soundly transmitted up until this point.
How can you demonstrate that evidence?
Right, based on the national testimony, which has an improbability of fabrication or falling to error.
Hold up. So the oral tradition itself attests to that.
Right.
It's not my argument. I'm not saying because the 10,000 people say this is true or because the oral traditions say this is true, therefore it's true, right? The argument is that what these sages are attesting to in the reception of the tradition has an improbability of fabrication or falling into error.
Where do you get this? Where do you get this idea of the 10,000 sages? Where does it come from?
Exactly.
Okay, good question. So how, are you asking how we know they attest to it today?
No, how do you know that there was 10,000 sages in each generation attesting to this?
Good question. Because if you're going to say it wasn't tens of thousands, let's just go back. Let's just go to Zion. Let's say
I want to know, how do you know?
Right. But I'm showing you, right? So if we were to assume, let's say it was 5 people in the 3rd century, just hypothetically, right? That assumes that tens of thousands of sages in one of these generations either A, misverified their predecessors, or B, fabricated the number of sages, which is both irrational and improbable.
Yep.
So they just said it. They all just said it. It's circular, using the oral tradition to assume the oral tradition.
Again, if it's circular, which one of the premises I laid out for you assumes the conclusion?
The very thing in and of itself, because you're saying, the oral tradition. You let me explain, I will. You're saying the oral tradition goes back to Moses. Well, the oral tradition says so, and the oral tradition says there was all of these sages attesting to it. It's circular.
It's not my argument. I'm not saying because the sages are attesting the oral Torah is from Moses, therefore it's from Moses. So can I lay it out for you in premises so you can understand it better? Because that's not my argument.
Go ahead. And if I hear a premise, circular, I'm gonna stop you.
Sure. Premise 1: sages are reliable transmitters. Premise 2: tens of thousands of sages attest to receive from tens of thousands of sages before them. The tradition that in every generation they would observe tens of thousands of sages all the way back until Sinai. Conclusion: the oral Torah is reliably transmitted.
What was premise 2 again? Say that one again.
Tens of thousands of sages attest to receive from tens of thousands of sages before them.
Where do they attest?
Right.
Can I finish? Okay.
Well, not only that, because we have yet to even remotely approach how this tradition somehow makes it so that Exodus 33 doesn't mean what it means. You haven't even gotten close to that.
I already answered you on that.
No, you didn't, brother. I'm sorry. You may think that you did, but you didn't answer a thing.
IP, what was my answer?
You said the oral tradition says that it's just something that comes after him, but that's not even the real issue.
Am I dealing with brain rot in this panel right now? What did I say?
Well, you know what? Your time to go, man.
Yeah.